Progressive propaganda is everywhere, especially on TikTok, and we cannot let it go unrebutted. So Brie and I are responding to a lot of the nonsense that we are seeing on social media. We are also talking about the new version of the Lilo and Stitch movie. What does this say about not just how Disney sees family, but also how our culture in general sees family? We've got all of this and more on today's episode of Relatable. It's brought to you by our friends at Good Ranchers. Go to goodranchers.com. Use code Allie for $40 off. That's goodranchers.com, code Allie. Hey guys, welcome to Relatable. Hoping everyone is having a wonderful week so far. All right, we've got a fun, more lighthearted episode today. I mean, we might be answering some more serious questions and reacting to some content that needs a serious response. But instead of going topic by topic or explaining one topic today, we'll be reacting to some trends that we're seeing on social media. It's good to know what the other side is up to, what's going on in their heads. Before we get into it, I just want to remind you to sign up for Share the Arrows. Tickets are going so fast. We are looking like we are going to surpass last year, which is just amazing. This year's Share the Arrows is brought to you by our friends at Every Life. There are thousands of Christian conservative women who are showing up at Share the Arrows for fellowship with like-minded Christian women and to hear Christian teachers arm you with apologetics and theological training, to challenge you, to equip you and encourage you in motherhood and taking charge of your health in a biblical way. We've got Elisa Childers, we've got Ginger Duggar-Vuolo, we've got Hillary Morgan Ferrer, Abby Halberstadt, Shauna Holman, Taylor Dukes, Katie Faust, Francesca Battistelli. I mean, it's just unmatched. If I say so myself, this lineup is top tier. I'm so excited, y'all. Go to sharethearrows.com. Get your tickets today. That's sharethearrows.com. Okay, so Brie has given me all of this reaction content. And sometimes for some reason, my team likes to give me things that I'm very disturbed by, like doll content, doll conference content where adults bring their dolls and pretend like they're babies. I don't know if we have that kind of content here. I have not watched these, so I am reacting in real time with all of you. Maybe we will try to peer into the disturbed mind of Brie to know why she has tormented us with some of this content, try to get her reasoning here. Is there anyone that you think that we should start with to react?
Well, since you said that, I feel like we should start with reaction 23.
Okay, play it. Reaction 23.
I am a Disney adult, and I know this may be a weird turnoff for a lot of people, and they don't understand why I do what I do, but that's okay. I'm no stranger to feeling sad for days at a time and barely being able to make it out of bed, or feeling so anxious and overstimulated just by going outside that I feel nauseous and get to the verge of passing out. My parents raised me with Disneyland, so it's grown to be a very comforting space for me, and sometimes all I want when I'm having a bad set of days is to go to this safe space that reminds me so much of my childhood. Every day is a challenge, and we're all just trying to get through it as much as we can. This is just how I cope, so I sometimes get really sad when people make fun of me for it. So with that, happy World Mental Health Day. Here's a reminder to try and be as kind as much as you are able and that you are so loved.
Okay, I have so many questions. I'm not making fun. This is publicly put out in the world. Yes. Okay, so it's not like we're peering into this person's diary. This person wants to publicize this, and so it's totally justified for us to comment on it. But I have questions. Is she carrying around a doll?
She is.
In a baby carriage?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, see, here's the thing. Is that there is something seriously dark going on here. There's something really wrong, I think, in someone's psyche for them to not only, I think that there is a problem with being like a pathological Disney adult. This is a theme park that can be fun for parents, for sure. It can be fun for adults, but to have this kind of identity wrapped around Disney, a company that makes entertainment and rides for children, there is something going on there. But to pretend to have a child that you're bringing to the park that is not a real child, there is something very deeply disturbing going on there. And I will not accept this as this is just an outlet for this person to feel happy. This person doesn't have special needs. She doesn't seem like mentally incapacitated at all. She seems like a smart, normal, functioning person who deals with sadness and the range of human emotions like we all do. And I do not accept that this is like a neutral or moral or amoral outlet for someone's depression or anxiety. I just don't. Life isn't about being happy at whatever cost. Life, I mean, in part, is about cultivating and making the world around you better, not just serving yourself with like unlimited hits of dopamine. Am I being too harsh, Brie?
No, she calls it, I don't know if you saw the small text. She calls it reborn therapy. She says, I'm a Disney adult who goes to Disney with my reborn doll because I'm in reborn therapy. So that's what I think triggers me the most, because I'm just like, that's, first of all, not a healthy way to cope, but also it is so inconvenient for everyone around you. Also, I know there are tons of strollers at Disneyland, and there should be because kids go there. But like you see the shot of her walking around with a full stroller for this doll. I'm like, that's just inconvenient for everyone around you.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's also uncomfortable for everyone around you.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing as people like identifying as a they, them. You are forcing others to bend reality, to bend the laws of grammar, to bend everything for your perception and your imagination. And so when people see this grown woman who is not special needs that I can see walking around with a doll and a stroller, are you supposed to be like, oh, yes, ma'am, you can cut in line. Oh, do you need to get right here because you've got your stroller? Oh, your baby is so cute. And so you have to affirm these delusions. Like you said, it's not a healthy way to cope. I'm not making fun of mental health struggles at all or whatever trauma maybe she endured, but there are healthy ways to go through that. This is not one of them. This is, I think, very self-serving, and you're trying to justify it.
Yeah, and another frame of this says going to Disney with my support dolly group. So you see a shot of like a couple of them in a row. These are like women who are enabling each other to do this. So it's just probably a never-ending cycle of feeding that.
What happened? What happened to have this perpetual adolescence that we have today? Like, I feel like there's so many manifestations of this. I hear today that a lot of teens don't want to drive. They don't want to get their driver's license. They don't care about independence. Whereas, I don't know about you, but I couldn't wait to get my driver's license just to be able to drive to school. I wasn't doing anything crazy. I just wanted that independence. And all of my friends were the same way. But what is it that childhood and immaturity is lasting so long today?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I didn't know that about driving, because I remember also the day I got my license was like the best day ever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But Disney, I mean, I think Disney adults, their appeal is just that like this is a place where they can, try to forget about adult problems. And again, it's like, it's just not a healthy coping mechanism. I've said this before. I do think you can go to Disneyland as an adult by yourself or with adult friends and have fun. I think it's a fun theme park. But when your identity is Disney, when your identity is being a Disney adult, you're coping for something. Like there's something that's missing for you, I feel like.
And I do think it should be that adults are the secondary customer. I still think all of the theme parks should primarily cater to adolescents and to kids. And if adults also have fun doing that, I think that's okay. Like my brother and his wife, before they had kids, and when I was in college, they lived in Orlando, and I visited them when I was a freshman in college, and we went to Disney World. I don't remember which park we went to, but it was fun. Like we did adult stuff. And so I think that is fine. But I do think that Disney, it seems like, is shifting to really primarily cater to adults. And that is troubling to me, when it's become that big of a trend and that big of a societal shift at the same time that people are rejecting children. Like, they don't want children. They're less tolerant of children. They don't want to hear children. Pro-abortion, pro-antinatalism, but they're themselves acting like kids. There's a connection there.
Yeah.
My next sponsor is Fellowship Home Loans, and I got a really touching message from one of my listeners, viewers, who worked with Fellowship Home Loans recently, who said that this call and working with them was an answer to prayer. He had been denied by 2 different lenders. One told him that his debt-to-income ratio didn't work. Another said his home wasn't worth enough, and he was exhausted by this. He was anxious, and so he prayed about it. He decided to call Fellowship Home Loans, and Fellowship Home Loans helped him pay off his first mortgage, his second mortgage, and all of his debt. And this is exactly what this company is all about. Mike and Brian, who started Fellowship Home Loans, are the real deal. They are Christians. They are trying to honor God in how they conduct their business, and they are helping you make wise, faith-filled decisions during very stressful seasons. This is a mortgage company that will work with you, will pray with you, will do whatever they can to help you, and you know that is very difficult to find nowadays, so don't hesitate. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Allie to get started. Get $500 of credit at closing. That's just for my listeners. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Allie. Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382. Okay, we haven't talked about this yet. Actually, I don't know when this episode is coming out, so maybe we have, but as far as I know, we haven't. Speaking of Disney, the Lilo and Stitch live action remake. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the stuff about that?
Yeah, I've seen people talking about it. I haven't seen the movie yet.
Okay, so Lilo and Stitch, the original, I don't really remember it that much, but like all Disney movies, it starts out with parents dying. Mm-hmm. Why do all Disney movies start out like that?
I know.
Literally everyone that I can think of, there is a dead parent.
Yep. That's the thing. Yeah.
So Lilo and Stitch, Lilo in the original cartoon, she is adopted by her sister after her parents die, and her sister sacrifices a lot of things to take her in, and it's all about Ohana means family. You put family first. Well, in this live action remake, first of all, why do we need a live action remake of Lilo and Stitch? I don't know. We don't. But in this one, the sister, or the older sister, gives Lilo's the girl, right?
Yeah.
Lilo up to foster care.
Yeah.
And says, no, I'm going to college.
Yeah.
I don't want you in my custody. And so, like, girl bossed so close to the sun that her poor sister was sacrificed.
Yeah.
Like, Ohana means foster care, I guess. Yeah. It's really sad. So not only are, like, you are remaking a story about dead parents even worse, even sadder. And that's what I'm saying about, like, Disney now targeting adults. Like, do I want my child, my 5-year-old, to be watching a movie like that?
Yeah. And also, I feel like I know they were not trying to make a scene for scene depiction of the animated movie, which I agree with you. We didn't even need it to begin with. And it's also not live action because Stitch is not a human. So it's animated still. Yeah. But the thing, I saw a side-by-side scene in the animated movie. There's a scene where Lilo, they're fighting. The sisters are fighting, and Lilo is saying, Ohana means family. What would our parents think of, whatever situation they're in? And in the live action one, Nani, the sister, says, well, our parents abandoned us. And obviously that's not in the animated movie, but it's like so much darker. Yes. And it's so much more pessimistic than in the animated one. Maybe that's what they were going for, but I agree. I'm like, Lilo and Stitch is one of my favorite animated movies because it's so sweet and because the themes of it are so consistent. And it seems like that was lost. That's so disappointing.
Yeah, it is probably the thinking is probably representation. And representation is a horrible justification for including all kinds of depravity in books and movies and entertainment for kids. Well, what about the kid that's in foster care? What about the kid who is sexually abused? What about the kid who grows up with two dads or two moms or whatever? So we have to represent them. No, we don't need to re-traumatize the kids. We don't actually need to do that. Representation is not the most important thing, especially when it comes to kids' entertainment. Okay? And so this is just including too close to the sun and I feel bad for Lilo. And I don't know why Disney would decide to go in that direction. I guess we can make no more like good original creative movies.
No.
We just have to do Snow White remakes.
You know, the one that gets me is when they made a live action remake of The Lion King. It's like there aren't humans in that movie, so all of them are still animated.
It's just like what, CGI?
Yeah, it's just like better animated The Lion King.
Yeah. Okay. They just can't. They're just hamstrung, I guess, by their progressive policies. I'm sure that we will get a live action remake of Frozen at some point.
For sure, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. What should we do next? What reaction should we do next?
We could do React 1.
Okay. I'll just let you pick them. Let's do React 1.
Some carry hate. We carry the largest trans pride flag to ever be flown in a national park and unfurled it on the side of El Cap to prove a point that trans is natural. The Trump administration and transphobes would love to have you believe that being trans is unnatural, but species that can transition sexes can be found on every continent and in every ocean on planet Earth. So call it a protest, call it a celebration. We are bringing elevation to liberation. They try to erase us from government websites and education systems and libraries. So we raise this flag higher than ever before so every trans person knows that they have people that love them in their corner. The people united will never be defeated.
Okay. Well, humans are not fish. Humans are not other species. And humans are sexually dimorphic. Humans cannot transition sex. And you see what he did there. He didn't say transition gender because for a long time, the ridiculous and false assertion was that gender and sex are separate, that gender is how you identify and how you manifest your feelings about who you are, and your sex is biological. Now they're just saying you can actually transition your sex, but you can't because sex is determined by your chromosomes, by your gametes, and also by your secondary sexual characteristics often. But on a more fundamental level, it's your gametes, and that cannot be transitioned. It can't be transitioned. So even if it is true that other species can transition sex, the question is, can humans transition sexes? And the answer is no. It is actually the least natural thing in the world. It is not possible for you to become a man or become a woman. It is not even possible for someone who says that they are intersex to be both sexes or to transition from one sex to another. They have some kind of sexual anomaly or disorder that doesn't negate the rule of the gender binary. And gender and sex, by the way, are interchangeable. I don't buy this idea that this dualistic idea that how you feel on the inside can oppose biological reality and that trumps biological reality. That's a religious philosophical idea that is just not true, and it's stupid. So it doesn't matter how high you fly your massive trans flag. If something is natural and obvious and observable, you don't have to declare it with a giant flag in a national park. You just don't. This person is Patagonia, right? Drag queen.
Drag queen Patagonia, yeah.
Patagonia. And he has been used as a mascot. I think it was like the North Face, ironically, not Patagonia.
Yep.
Yeah. So somehow this person has become a spokesperson for the outdoors, for Yosemite. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those hikers are going to see that flag and feel very seen.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah. We all exist because of the existence of male and female, by the way. Quick pause to tell you that you need to hurry up and get the father in your life, whether it is your father, whether it is your baby daddy, your husband. You need to get him Good Ranchers for Father's Day. If he likes steak, he likes beef, he likes chicken, he likes seafood, he likes America, then this is the gift for him. When you buy a box of Good Ranchers meat, you are supporting American farms and ranches. Unlike the vast majority of meat in the grocery store, this is actually from an American farm and ranch. Plus, this is a Christian family-owned company. They try to glorify God in everything they do. They care so much about the quality of their product and their customers. You will love working with Good Ranchers. You can subscribe, get that box of meat to your front door every month. They'll add on a free package of meat to your order for the life of your subscription. When you use my code Allie, you get $40 off your order. Go to goodranchers.com, code Allie. Okay, let's move on to, let's do some relationships. Let's do men cheating. React 5.
Just because a man sleeps with another woman does not mean he doesn't still respect you. That doesn't mean that he doesn't love you. No, she means nothing to him. And if you think I'm going to give up my life for a man that loves me and respects me and take care of me, he didn't claim her. He put that ring on my finger. Okay. So why am I going to leave over someone that doesn't mean anything? He's a man. He's just going to be a man. That's it. My soon-to-be husband, he treats me well. He respects me. I don't have to ask for anything. But at the same time, I also do what I'm supposed to do with a woman. I cook, I clean, I shut the fuck up. So I know how to keep my man.
Oh no, that is so terrible. I just want to tell you, woman, that you are a full person made in the image of God. And because of that, you should be in a relationship where you are honored and you are truly respected. Respect doesn't just mean that you are given an allowance or that you're given a roof over your head. That might be part of what it means for a man to be a provider for you, but that also means exclusivity. That means loyalty. That means fidelity. That means he is not going to risk giving you an STD. He's not going to risk breaking your heart by satisfying his lust in other women. That is a man that has no self-control. That is a man that you cannot trust. Not only can you not trust him with your body or your heart, you cannot trust him to continue to provide all of the things that you feel that you deserve, because he is a man without wisdom. He is a man without strength. He is a man who cannot control his most carnal desires. That is not a man you want to raise kids with. You deserve more than that, because as a woman, you are a full person made in God's image, and I'm sorry that you have been taught to value yourself so little. Okay, do you have any thoughts on that, Brie?
No, you said it all.
Okay.
I don't know if she this could be like tongue in cheek, but I don't think it is. I just want to say that just in case it is. But
why even get married to someone? She said that she's about to get married to him. Yeah. Why even do that?
No, I don't know.
Ugh.
I don't know.
Gives me the ick.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to theology. Oh, I know this one. Okay, let's play React 10.
Happiness. I'm jealous of the way that many of these right-wing evangelical people seem so happy. And I think that they are, because they live in this bubble of we all are chosen by God because of the way we vote. And when honestly, the way you're treating other people through your vote is the least like Jesus thing of all time in the history of people who didn't act like Jesus. So there are days that, because I struggle with being an empathetic person and being like, how are more people not upset that we are just deporting people and treating poor people this way and taking away resources from the people who need it the most? I wish I could just sit back and be like, God's got it, and I have what I have because I'm blessed. I wish I could be that stupid. I really do.
Okay. Well, I have some good news about your wish. But you're like, that was just so not articulate at all. No one believes that we are chosen by God because of our vote. We have disagreement on what the allocation of resources and allocation of tax dollars should look like and what the role and the scope of the government should be. And yes, we do believe in the deportation of illegal aliens. That is not a radical belief. In fact, all Democrats believed that until Trump ran for office back in 2015. Because we believe in citizenship. We believe in the existence of a country. We believe in sovereignty, which is necessary to protect the rights of a country's citizens, which means you need to have borders, because without borders, you're not a sovereign country. If you're not a sovereign country, you don't have citizenship. And if you don't have citizenship, then you really have no rights that you are entitled to. And so, yes, we are of the radical belief that we should have a country. This person started, I remember this clip by saying like, oh, I'm gonna lose followers, or I might lose or gain followers. Oh my goodness. A liberal white woman in her kitchen talking about how she doesn't like conservative evangelicals. You rebel. You're so different. You're edgy. Never heard anyone say that, and to articulate it with that much intelligence was really something. Bree, does this person, does she seem happy and whole to you?
Well, what I thought was funny was I think she maybe has teenage sons. You see people crossing in the background and they're not even reacting, which means she's doing this a lot.
They probably love Trump.
Yeah, they're just used to her just ranting at her phone screen.
Yeah. She does, I think, have quite a few followers.
Yeah, well, if she's consistent, then I guess it's
yes,
if that makes sense. But
this is just rough. Like a brand. It's so funny because on the one hand, they'll be like, oh, conservatives are so mean. They're so hateful. They're so angry all the time just about everything. But I won't even say the name. Actually, I don't even remember. But there's a popular podcast that's hosted by two liberal women. And they remind me of this. And like, they are so bitter. And like so resentful, so angry. It's okay to be passionate. Like even if you disagreed and I'm like, okay, you're just passionate about that subject. Like you really believe it. Okay. But they like hate people, just like people, just like everything people do. They hate it. Mm-hmm. They like basically, they did like some segment about like, I hate hugs. I'm just like, you have issues. Yeah. You have problems. Can you not connect that to the political ideas that you have?
You got to commend this woman a little bit for just like saying the quiet part out loud, that she's miserable and that we look like the happier people who have joy in our lives.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of what all those, that podcast and all those other people, they know that too. They're just not saying it.
Yeah, it's true. Our joy actually does not have to do with politics at all. It has to do with our faith, but our politics are they're an outpouring of that. And if you want an understanding of why we vote the way we do and how we connect that to our faith, even though you say it's the least like Jesus, you can listen to a podcast called Relatable. We talk about it all the time. Now, you might still disagree, but we're not stupid. We have a reason for why we vote the way that we do and why we think these policies are better and more aligned with our worldview. Okay, let's do a happy one. Let's do reaction 15. There he is! Emmy! Oh! Mickey Mouse!
Let me tell you about Jesus.
Amy, what is your ears?
Let me tell you about Jesus. Let me tell you about Jesus. Jesus died in the cross
Oh, you want to take a picture? Go take a picture. That is so sweet. That's why Jesus said, let the little children come to me, for such as these belong to the kingdom of heaven. It's like faith like a child. You're not to that point yet to where you feel awkwardness and you want people to think a certain thing about you. So that a little girl was just saying what was on her heart. She was saying, let me tell you about Jesus. So sweet. I'm so glad they caught it on camera. I don't like putting kids on social media, but I'm glad that I saw that
that's a good
act of evangelism.
Yeah, that's a good
use for it.
Opposite of the first one that we looked at Disneyland.
That is true. That is redemptive right there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at this new airplane invention. React 22.
If you love putting your feet up in a plane but find it so uncomfortable, you need this before your next trip. This is a foot sling. All you have to do is pop your chair hip down, unclip, wrap it around the table, and reclip. You can also adjust the straps depending on how low you want it, and then you pop your chair table back in, and then put your feet on, and then you can relax and have a nice time. See you later.
Okay, is this for the short queens or something? Is this if you can't put your feet on the ground?
No, I think people just like to put their feet up, and she just wants to put her feet up.
Oh, it would be so uncomfortable for the chair in front of you.
For that foot sling to be up?
Yeah, because you'd be moving your feet.
Oh,
you
that's
just
true,
would.
yeah.
And it would probably like pull your seat back a little bit. No. That would be so annoying. And put your shoes back on.
I was going to say, what are your thoughts on the no shoes?
I mean, socks are better than bare feet, but it still probably stinks. Now, if you have your socked feet under a blanket and I can't see them, then okay, pass.
Really? That's a pass?
I mean, I'm not saying that I would allow it if I saw it,
Yeah.
but if I don't see it, and for a long flight, like I will say, on my flight to Hawaii, I had socks on. I had special wool socks for my flight, but under my blanket, I did take my shoes off. It was an 8-hour flight. Never barefoot, though. Never barefoot.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you don't see it, then it's like if a tree falls in a forest.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
If you take your shoes off under a blanket, did it really happen? I don't know. I'll never know.
We'll never know.
Next sponsor is Hillsdale College. I love Hillsdale. There just aren't very many universities out there that are actually teaching people how to think critically, telling them the truth about America's foundation that speaks positively about the Constitution and about our Christian foundation as a country. But Hillsdale College is one of those universities, and right now they are offering 40 free online courses for you. You can learn about the works of C.S. Lewis, the stories in the book of Genesis, the meaning of the Constitution, the rise and fall of the Roman Republic, the history of the ancient Christian church. It's all amazing. They've got this new course called Understanding Capitalism that really demystifies and debunks a lot of the myths that you hear, the propaganda that you hear about capitalism. You can really understand it and then be able to defend your defense of capitalism. Go to hillsdale.edu/relatable, enroll in this new course, Understanding Capitalism, or any of the 40 courses that sound interesting to you. It's totally for free and very easy to get started. Go to hillsdale.edu/relatable. Okay, let's see. Are there any others that we really want to see?
I think you'll probably like reaction 8.
8.
Dog baby.
Well, I like it. Okay. Like is an interesting way to describe what this looks like it might be. Okay, let's look at React 8.
As many of you saw, I had an abort earlier this year, not only because I don't want children right now, but you want to know the real reason? I already have a baby. It's this one right here. And he cost me a lot of time and energy and money. And if I had to choose between a human baby's needs and this one, I'm choosing this one. Every time. That's why this fall, there's only one candidate protecting our reproductive freedoms. And if she doesn't win, don't make me choose between a human baby and this one, because this one wins every freaking time.
My political ideology is whatever makes that illegal. Every part of that, actually. There are so many things in that clip that I think should be illegal. Having an abortion and owning a pit bull. But this really just goes to show like disordered priorities and disordered desires just put your whole life out of whack. It's like if you don't have the spokes of a wheel like properly placed in the hub, they're just going all over the place. You can't even ride your bike. It's broken. And that's really what's happening here when you worship the creature rather than the creator who is blessed forever. Amen. As Romans 1 tells us, then everything gets distorted and disordered. And when we see from the beginning that God is a God of order, and we see what that order looks like, in part that means being made in God's image as male and female. When you start denying all of that, everything just gets out of whack, and you start worshiping animals. And as Chesterton said, wherever you see animal worship, you also see child sacrifice. We got that all in one clip right there. And your politics should be whatever is the opposite of this person's. Like, if you cannot see how absolutely depraved and backwards and dark that is, that this is like a spiritual issue, a demonic problem here, then you need to be reading your Bible and praying a lot more. It could be that you have a seared conscience and you aren't able to determine what is right and what is wrong. Oh my goodness, just this person. She needs prayer. Is there anything else I need to know about that clip, Brie?
No, that's pretty much it. This girl used to be on BuzzFeed. She's pretty. I think her name's Kelsey. And she has a pretty big following, I think. And she talks about this stuff all the time. Talks about having abortions and voting Democrat. So that's her thing now.
And owning pit bulls.
Owning pit bulls. Nightmare.
Like, if you're not ready to have kids, don't have unprotected sex. Like, people act like that is the most difficult thing in the world. It is really not. If you don't want to digest food, don't eat your dinner. Like, it's really not difficult. Consent to sex is consent to pregnancy. You learn that like really early on. Okay. The description for this just says also screaming. So I'm so curious as to what it is. React 4.
This is the gayborhood, and you are not welcome.
That's why I need to be here. You need Jesus, ma'am. He can save you. He can give you a new heart. God can give you a new heart so that you love what God loves. No, that's irrational.
Oh, Brie. Oh my goodness. What do you think?
I think that's a good debate tactic.
Yeah. If I'm ever on Jubilee, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, scream
I'm just
it out.
going to scream at the top of my lungs.
Yeah, you could drown out your opposition. I don't know. I think gayborhood is kind of a fun word.
You've never heard that?
No.
I had heard that. I don't
No,
know
I've
where
never heard that.
or how, but I definitely feel like I've heard gayborhood.
Wow. He was not welcome in the gayborhood.
Not welcome, but good for him for preaching Jesus. Mm-hmm. And she might be demonically possessed, actually. Okay, let's do... Well, some of these are... Okay, let's do a positive one. This says this one is positive, so let's do React 7.
How come every time somebody says it's better to wait until you're married before you have kids, people are always like, well, he can still leave you even if you're married. He can still leave you even if... Duh! Duh. The same way you can still die in a car accident even if you have your seatbelt on. But it's probably still a good idea to put that seatbelt on when you get in the car, right? Marriage protects you and gives you benefits that being a baby mama does not.
It is absolutely true. I ran into a couple that were boyfriend, girlfriend when we were in Hawaii, and I was just thinking about how many people fall into that category of basically living like you are married and you are just like chronic boyfriend, girlfriend, and how in their minds, they're like, well, marriage is just a piece of paper. It's just a ceremony. And it's no big deal. It's not really going to change anything once we get married. There is a lot that changes once you get married. It is a much bigger commitment. Just the sheer hassle of going through a divorce versus breaking up is a barrier to separating. And that's a good thing. Like, there should be legal barriers. Like, it should be way more of a hassle to get a divorce than to break up, because marriage actually means something. There are shared assets. There are hopefully shared children. But even just that commitment, that covenant you're making should be very difficult to sever, both logistically and legally. When you get married, there will be arguments that you have that would have broken you up had you been dating. But when you're married, because you're committed to one another, you say, okay, I've got to figure this out. Yeah, you made me so mad. And now I'm wondering, wow, I can't believe you did that. And where even are we? How did we get here? All of those things that when you're dating someone, even for a long time, might lead you to be like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I want to see who else is out there. When you're married, of course, you could still have that thought, but because it's a lot more difficult, because you have intertwined your life with that person and you've made this legal and biblical commitment to them, you are more apt to think of how you're going to work through this disagreement and difference than just like abandon ship. And so she's right. Of course, it is security. And you can't know that until you are married. It's more than just a piece of paper. It's more than just a ceremony. It is a commitment that really protects women and children more than anything else. And like the stigma against unwed motherhood that was hard fought by our ancestors for centuries was actually good. It was actually protective of women and children. So good for you, girl. Good for you. And I laughed at your facial expressions. Okay, let's do React 9. My gosh. Okay, if you were just listening to that, let me explain. These are two gay men showing their IVF journey. So, and they're using like chicken nuggets to represent. So they both start with 20 donor eggs, so 40 total. And just a reminder of like how difficult it is for the female body to, it says donate, but it's to sell those eggs. We release 1 egg a month. And so for you for them to retrieve 20 eggs from one female, you have to be injected with all these drugs that increase the rate of breast cancer and other kinds of cancers, to hyperovulate, to take those eggs in a very painful process. It's horrible for humans. We don't even know the effect fully that it has on children. Okay, so they fertilized those 40 eggs with their sperm, and they got 28 embryos. Of those 28 embryos, only 10 were deemed viable. So all of the other ones had some kind of fetal anomaly. It could be something like Down syndrome that you can test the chromosomes for. So they selected 10 that they thought were the best, the brightest. They probably selected by gender. They could have even selected by eye color if they wanted to. This is eugenics. This is what happens in many of these IVF processes, especially when it comes to gay couples. And then after those 10 strongest ones were selected, 3 were transferred to surrogates. So it sounds like they still have 7 left over. 3 were transferred to 2 different surrogates. 1 miscarried. The transfer process is very risky for these embryos. And so think about the loss of life here. We've got 18 embryos, human beings alive, made in the image of God, that were discarded because they didn't make the cut. They weren't strong enough. That is the normal process for IVF, especially when it comes to 2 men that have to buy the eggs of one woman and rent the egg of another woman. Here we're talking about 4 separate women, 2 who gave their eggs and 2 who rented out their wombs. Like, isn't that some kind of indication that maybe 2 men weren't supposed to be making babies? Like, if you need 4 women to conduct this process of reproduction, don't you think the science is telling you something? That you need a man and a woman? And these poor children who made it through this very gruesome process, whose siblings were killed, and their siblings who are still frozen, now they are being forced to be raised by a motherless couple or in a motherless family, and they will always wonder who their mother is and long for that mother. That's exactly who that baby needs, separated from the surrogate, given worse treatment than we give kittens and puppies who have to stay with their mom for 6 weeks or more after birth. We rip that child away from the only home he or she has ever known and give them to two strangers, two men, and they never get that maternal touch. I promise you that negatively affects those children for the rest of their life. And we are willing to lay these children on the altar of adult desire just because gay men want it that way. I will never, ever, ever celebrate that. Ever. It is so distorted and it makes me really sad. Last sponsor for the day is Preborn. Preborn equips pregnancy centers across the country with the equipment, the resources they need to be able to help moms in need and help these moms make life-affirming decisions. There was one client named Stephanie who was scared and afraid that she didn't deserve love and support, and she felt alone in her pregnancy. But after receiving support from a pregnancy clinic, she experienced this incredible moment where she saw her baby on the ultrasound, and she left the clinic feeling hopeful. And now, 5 years later, she can't imagine making another decision. But because she was able to hear the beating heart and see the life of her moving child on that sonogram screen, thanks to Preborn and the work they do, she made the right decision. When you support Preborn, you are helping save lives. If you donate just $28, you are covering the cost of a free sonogram. Go to preborn.com/Allie to donate. That's preborn.com/Allie. Okay. Is there anything else? Do we have a happy one maybe to end on, Brie?
Yeah, we can end on reaction 16.
Okay, let's do reaction 16 and then maybe I'll answer a couple questions.
Leave in the name of Jesus. Go over there. Lord planted our food here.
All right, baby. Same thing here. You ready?
Yes. Leave in the name of Jesus, bugs.
The text says she saw bugs in her garden and called upon the name of the Lord. That's funny. You know what? The book of James says the prayer of a righteous person has great power as it is working, and there is no shame at all in praying for the things that we want and believing in faith that God can do it, and knowing that whatever he chooses to do, it is for his glory and for our good. From the mouth of babes. That was really cute. All right, we've got a few more minutes, so I can go through this long list of questions that I have and try to answer a couple of them. Ooh, this is a tough one, and I want to know what Brie thinks too. Okay, if you had to raise your family in another country, so you can either think, Brie, future family or even just like right now. If you had to raise your family in another country, which country would you pick? Do you have an idea of where would you live if not in America?
Well, I mean, I kind of have to go somewhere that speaks English probably, right?
Yeah,
So
I guess.
I'm limited.
A lot of places do speak English, though.
Yeah, that's true. But I have lived in a place where a lot of people do speak English, but it's not the native language and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. So I would probably say the UK, which I know.
Yikes.
Yeah, I know. It was a big yikes. But I think there's so many like pretty countryside areas there that you wouldn't have to live in like Londonistan.
Yeah.
I would say the countryside of England. That's where I would go.
Yeah. See, I think it would be so hard linguistically, language-wise, but I am thinking like the Nordic countries, like Scandinavia. Now, when I went to the Netherlands, it was probably the hardest to navigate because their language is least like ours. So many consonants. So many consonants in places that you would never want to find a consonant.
Yeah.
And like 5 consonants together.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I thought that I could kind of understand, not listening, but reading Italian, because at least I have like a rudimentary understanding of Spanish because I had to take it through college. And so that I could kind of, even like French, like there are just similarities to English. But oh my goodness, in the Netherlands, I had no clue anything that was being said or written at all. But they seem a little secluded from the mass immigration problem.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. The other thing that is good to consider if we were to do this is that little kids like can learn in like 6 months.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
You know, if you were to go right now, you know, they wouldn't have a problem at all. It'd be you that would have a problem.
Which would be
but it
a
would
problem
because there eventually.
We're responsible for our children. So that would be tough.
Yeah.
Maybe we could hire a Sherpa.
Yeah.
A Norwegian Sherpa to help us, to guide us through. I'm sure it's super expensive to live in all of those places. Yeah. I've heard that there are parts of Poland that are nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I just don't know about the UK, man.
Yeah, I changed my answer. I think I would go to Israel because everybody there does speak English for the most part. And it's diverse enough that I feel like you could fit in pretty well.
You think so?
Yeah.
What about France? Macron and Brigitte seem to have such a loving relationship.
I know. I will just say, been there, done that.
Yeah. Okay, we haven't even
there.
talked about Brigitte pushing Macron's face.
Oh my gosh.
Whenever this comes out, this is probably a while ago now. We can put a picture or video. But yeah, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about it?
Oh, I mean, I thought the jokes were really funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the reality is
a new spin on manhandling.
Exactly. The reality is like, I mean, they obviously are brushing it away. They're saying that it was, you know, they were just joking around or whatever. No.
That was a really like hard push.
Yes. And you can see on his face too. There are people who have slowed it down and
he's like taken aback.
Yeah. So no, I don't think they were joking around. French people don't joke around anyway, so.
Do they not? I mean, in like horsing around, she's like 80.
Yeah.
Like I mean, most people have probably been following Candace's stuff, but like their relationship, whether or not Brigitte is indeed Brigitte, like is so weird because she was 40 and he was like 14, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Something like that when they started flirting, and she was a teacher at his school, and so she might have been grooming him and abusing him forever.
Yes, absolutely. And I will just like to say, when I moved to France, I started sounding the alarm on this. Nobody believed me.
That she's a man?
Not that she's a man, just that she groomed him, and I feel like nobody knew.
Did people really? How did you know? How'd you know when other people didn't?
People in France know, but I feel like a lot of Americans didn't know that was their relationship dynamic.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Until maybe like a year ago. Maybe you told me. I don't remember. Yeah. But do you think I actually, she's a man?
You know what? I do.
You do think she's a man?
I do.
Brianna.
I believe it now.
You do?
Yeah.
Because of Candace's
I'm bought in.
Wow. Really?
She convinced me.
Okay.
And I love that she intended for it to only be one episode until they threatened her. And then she was like, you know what? Let's do a deep dive now.
That's Candace. Yeah. That is how she works. Oh my goodness. Well, okay. I don't know if I ever finished the series. Mm-hmm. I was left, maybe if I finished the series, I would be where you are. I was left definitely thinking there's something so weird going on here. It is obviously very sketchy. Yeah. They're not like some normal couple, normal family. I think there's something super sketchy about his background, about her background. And the ultimate conclusion, right, is that, or the claim is that they're brothers, or that Brigitte is his dad.
Yeah, I can't remember the specifics. Yeah, related. Yeah.
So, do they have kids?
No, they don't have kids together.
Because she went through menopause when he was like 18.
Yeah, she had a kid older than him, I think, when she met him. So
supposedly, I mean, obviously not really.
Yeah.
If she, I don't think she looks like a man personally.
I I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell.
Yeah. She's little, which helps her.
Yes. But I will say the whole claim that she was like a beauty queen that everyone wanted and that it's not true. It's just not true. So
Yeah.
I understand the skepticism and I understand why a lot of things aren't checking out. And for the plot, I'm bought in.
Okay, it's official.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to the person who asked that one question about where we would live. Now we've, I don't know, whatever the French police, what are they called? Do we know?
I don't know.
I was going to say they were going to show up at our studio and arrest you.
Oh,
not me. I didn't
can't
say
remember the special name for it, but yeah, maybe the French
no
police
run-ins
will
with
show
the law while you lived in France, I guess.
No.
Okay, well, that was a wide-ranging episode. That's all we got time for today. We'll be back here soon.